Yay, it worked. Welcome to Furball Fridays on Saturday, my friends. Whether you are here for the live broadcast or you are here for the rebroadcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Larkin. I am a lifelong animal communicator, intuitive psychic medium, a dimension walker, and a spiritual and conscious mindset coach that helps people to transform their lives. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I have been a naturalist for, since I was probably 13 years old, and then went into doing that professionally for a while as well. So you'll notice in a lot of my work, I really connect you and encourage you guys to connect with nature. It's a part of your whole well-being. You are a part of nature. So these Furball Fridays are so important, even when they're on Saturdays. It is an hour dedicated only to non-human animals. Why do I say that? Because we are animals too. You're either a plant or an animal, whether you like it or not. So that's who and what we are. So you'll hear me refer to animals as non-human animals, so you know who I'm talking about. This is an hour dedicated to animal readings, animal communication, talking about messages from animals, whether it be dreams or in everyday life, animal totems, animal power animals, anything about non-human animals, okay? And this can be mediumship for those animals who have crossed over on the other side. This can be animal communication readings, all sorts of things. So I always invite you all, and I'm going to lead by example here, to have your candles and your incense. And I'm being overrun by mosquitoes right now for some reason. So I cannot wait to get my incense lit, but I wanted to wait until you were all here with me to do this. I'm going to light this, hopefully. I normally do it with my right hand, so let's see if this works with my left hand. There we go. A little windy out here. Lovely breeze we have. When you guys log on, even if you're on the rebroadcast, please let me know where you are listening from. I love it. We have people listen from all over the world. You won't be able to see it on the live here, but my incense holder today, the one I have downstairs for my outside broadcast, is an elephant. You see there's like a baby elephant inside there. So I don't remember the stone this is made of. I need to check that out. But anyway, this is my little incense holder for outside. Whoops. I can get it in here, right? I don't really know how this one fits in here, but that's what it is. It's an incense holder. Try this one. There we go. All right, so we can put that out there for you guys. I'm going to move it back away from my computer because it is actually getting ash in my computer. So I'll put it over here a little ways. And I always like it so you guys can kind of see. You can sort of see the incense going on a little bit. There we go. Ooh, we have our prism back. Try to scoot in a little bit. So, guys, and I also have, we may need some more. I'm hoping these are going to keep the mosquitoes away from me, but I don't know that they will. We also have, as usual, not always, but I usually bring the Animal Guide tarot cards. This is one of my favorite sets that I like to bring in case people want readings. Hi, Suzanne. Welcome. And, you know, we don't need cards, but they're a fun tool. And I like to encourage people, you know, to not only get messages for and from the animals in their lives, but also, you know, when you see animals out in nature, what are they trying to tell you? What messages, when they cross your path, is there for you? Even if it's an animal maybe that you don't like. Maybe it's an animal that you're afraid of. Maybe it's a type of insect that everybody calls bugs. Actually, bugs are just a very small select group of insects. But see, people don't know these things, and we tend to be afraid of and not like that which we are unfamiliar with. So these cards, I believe when we do card readings, or when we just talk about nature in general on here, beyond just the regular communication and readings, people can get a better idea of how important nature is as a healer, as a messenger, as a translator, as a communicator, as presenting signs to us and helping us with guidance and direction. So that's really important as well. Hello, Suzanne. And for those of you, again, who decide to join me on the rebroadcast, you can also feel free to let me know where you're listening from and, post your questions in the comments. And then we can always get to those the next time we are here on a live as well. All right. So anyway, guys, I wasn't on last week. I missed last week on here. I apologize. But I have a lot of my own animal stuff going on. I do a lot of animal rescue. I have my 4 horses that were all rescues as well. And, animals, non-human animals have a very complex social and psychological dynamic, just like we humans do, believe it or not. And so, a lot of things go on in there. I spent over 6 extra hours at the barn the other night just because I was having some social issues with my horses. So, we tend to go about our lives, and society sort of taught us, our animals are just for observation or for entertainment or to have as pets. And we don't realize how inclusive they actually are in our lives and how we need to be still and silent and paying attention to them and treating them as our equals. All right. Let's see, Suzanne, hold on here. Okay. So Suzanne, I'll go ahead and answer your question, but if you noticed in my in the post for this and the lead on this, this hour is only for non-human animal readings. I do not do regular readings on here. I only do animals. So for Furball Fridays, and it's because I feel like sometimes animal readings pop up during my regular lives, and that's fine. But nature and animals are really the most important thing that people need to be paying attention to. And we get so caught up in our own lives, like our jobs and our families and our social lives, that we don't recognize the messages and guidance that we're receiving. So the reason I started Furball Friday was to make sure there was an hour dedicated to nothing but animal communication and readings, not asking for any other types of readings, but only doing animals. Okay. So I'm going to quickly comment on your question, but I would prefer on Furball Fridays, if you guys don't mind, to just keep it to animals, because if I don't do that, people come in and we lose the focus of the animals. Okay. I would love a reading, please, as I just got another job after being redundant, but I'm struggling about my decision. Is it okay to stick it out? I'm really feeling the wild birds in my back garden. Awesome. Hi, Margot. Hello. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I like to sit out here, Suzanne, is I like to be out here with nature, especially when I do the animal readings and everything, because nature is actually the great healer. It's the greatest spiritual teacher. It's the connector really between us and the physical world and source. And so we really underestimate the power of nature. We've been taught to go to church instead of go to nature, and nature is actually the true church. So yeah. So so Suzanne, here's the thing, and I'm going to tie this a little bit to intuition. Okay. You have a really good question, and I want to help you through it. I just want to remind you, though, that most people's questions, when it's like, I'm really struggling with my decision, should I stick it out or not? Understand that the solution to the habit of indecision and questioning our decisions, which is a healthy thing to do. It's always healthy to ask that. But it stems from our egoic mind. It stems from not being in touch with our intuitive side, which is encouraged and strengthened and validated through our time in nature, which is why I encourage people to journal and to spend time in nature, over sitting in your room somewhere with some music, trying to do some sort of meditation that people are selling you, trying to convince you that's meditation, because quite honestly, most people think they're meditating and they're not anyway. So you might as well just go out in nature, where when you can be out still in nature, you are meditating. You're there, that's a form of meditation there. So the first thing I would say, Suzanne, is that your question about your job is actually, it's kind of ironic because it comes from a place of questioning, did I make the right decision or not? And, should I stick it out or not? Underlying that question is actually a fear of making a mistake. Okay. And again, and you're from Scotland. I know, I love it, Suzanne. Again, the thing is that we're supposed to make mistakes. It's okay. And the most important thing I teach well, not the most, but one of the most important things that my coaching clients learn is to trust yourself. And if you make a decision and you find that that's a mistake, how do you know that that decision was not helpful to you in not making a bigger mistake that would have caused more discomfort? Right? See? So let's say we make a decision and we make a mistake with a relationship and we get into an abusive relationship. Well, maybe that mistake was less abusive than one we would have made if we hadn't learned our lesson in that abusive relationship. Maybe we would have made one that would have been much more deadly to us. Okay, so we have to trust ourselves and understand that the decision that you make, Suzanne, at the time is based on what you know at the time and where you are consciously at the time, right? So I'm not putting down your question. I'm guiding you in a direction that I would guide my coaching clients, that your spirit guides try to guide you in, which is, you know, less thinking and trying to analyze and going along the mindset of, is this right or wrong? Did I make a mistake? Oh my God, how do I fix it? I don't want to make another one. Got to totally get out of that mindset. And you have to get in the mindset of, I am the observer behind my thoughts, and my egoic mind is currently experiencing fear that I may have made a mistake. I don't want to make more mistakes because I don't want to be uncomfortable and I don't like the way that feels. So I'm trying to decide, should I stick it out or not so that I can feel more comfortable? That's actually what you're asking. Okay. So if that's actually what you're asking, what your spirit guides have been wanting you to do is slow down the thinking about it so you don't have so much of the repetitive habits in your thinking about this, because you're just going in circles right now. And really sit down quietly with yourself and ask yourself, okay, what do you want? Why would you consider sticking it out? And why not? If your intuition is telling you that it doesn't feel right and you know you're not going to be happy there, then find another job and then make the switch. Okay? Don't overthink it. Don't make yourself suffer. Okay? So I hope that helps. I think, your higher self, your intuitive self already knows the answer. The question is you being able to get in touch with that and find it. And that answer is underneath your thoughts, which is where your spirit guides have been trying to take you. Okay. You said that you enjoy sitting out with the wild birds in your garden. Spend some more time out there. Journal out there a little bit. Find what you love the most. And that might not be your next job. You might not get to go to a job that is like your favorite thing next. But keep finding something that feels a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Look at this job as a stepping stone to a better experience. Okay. I hope that helps. And I'm so glad you're here, Suzanne. It's always wonderful to see you. Good. I'm glad that makes sense. And remember, some of your intuitive decisions aren't going to make sense because your sensical mind is your egoic mind, your logical mind. Okay. So I love Margot says, agree, nature all the way. Let's see here. You meditate, that's how you meditate too. Wonderful. So, I think I've been gearing more and more towards encouraging people to, because growing up for me, one of the reasons why I was able to communicate with animals and stay connected. You're welcome, Suzanne. Staying connected to nature is because there is peace there. The energy in nature is the closest incarnated thing to the energy of your soul, because nature is all directly connected to source, right? Everything, of course, is God and source. But when you're in nature, you're not influenced by the collective human ego. This allows you space to breathe, room to breathe. It allows you to feel and brings out the inner peace within you that's actually you. Okay, that's the real you. Your real nature is peace, is joy, is abundance, is fulfillment, is love. That is your eternal nature. So one of the reasons that we struggle and we're so confused and unhappy as human beings is we live in a false man-made society, a concrete jungle that separates us from nature. If you go to and you talk to people that have maybe done I don't know, they've done like religious work where they've gone over and they've done charity work for tribal people and things like that, which essentially, unfortunately, they're trying to convert them to their religion. But what's important here is that I often hear them come back and say, wow, I can't believe how happy those people were. They were so joyful. How can they be so happy? Right? And the reason they're happy is because, sure, maybe they don't have an education like we do. So what? They're happy. They're thriving, right, in their own way. Maybe they're struggling for food and water. And that's why these people are asking, how can they be so happy when they have nothing? But the truth is they don't have nothing. We are more unhappy when we have more than what we need and we are bombarded with material things, but we don't have the inner fulfillment, than if we are lacking in the material world, but we are hollow inside. And most of us in this world where we're entitled and we're spoiled with everything, we're not grateful enough, right? And so that gratitude that they have, thank you, Margot, I'm glad that makes sense. That gratitude that they have is actually innate to you. If you were to go back and look at other tribes and ancient peoples and things like that, who were living more collectively, who everyone had a job in the community, they were fulfilled doing their jobs, but they weren't distracted by all the little things. Oh my God, I know people that I'm so upset I don't have the latest iPhone. I'm so upset I don't have my new car yet. I'm so upset he didn't call me back for that date. We don't realize it, but that's a choice. You're choosing because you're brainwashed to be miserable if you don't get what you want immediately. Nature isn't like that. So as soon as you're back in nature, even if it's out on your back deck like I am here, your nervous system can relax and go back to the speed and frequency that matches your most comfortable brainwave patterns, your nervous system, right? And this calms you down. It allows you to not panic, to think about things, to enjoy things, to appreciate things. You're not so hardwired to I want. Nature isn't like that. Nature is patient. It is still. It's always moving and changing, but it knows how to be still. It's, it moves at a natural pace. So when you're in nature, it's really good mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so, this is something to consider. And it's one of the reasons we do Furball Fridays, not only to help people connect to and understand non-human animals in a different way, but to help you guys understand the significance, the importance, and actually the necessity of preserving our natural world, connecting with our natural world. One of the reasons we are kept away from our natural world is intentionally to keep you from remembering who you are, to keep you from finding your joy, to keep you from finding your fulfillment, to keep you from finding your alignment. If you think you can fully find that without nature, you're sadly mistaken. And so the more rainforests we tear down, the more we disrespect nature and we think we have the right to use it, the more unhappy we're going to be. We pay, you know, oodles of money for coaches and therapists. But if we were to just walk out in nature and to follow the natural patterns of nature, which we now look down upon as a society, we would find that our depression and our anxiety would begin to heal. We'd begin to follow our bliss. We'd begin to have time that where our mind is not always bombarded by social media, music, movies, television, what our colleagues and friends say. When you don't have any space where there aren't other human beings programming you, you tend to become unhappy, confused, lost, always in a place where you don't realize it, but you're trying to please other humans. And this is not helpful to you. So, the best thing everybody can really do is go spend time out in nature every day. And, your life is the habits, your life is the results of repetition, of habits and repetition. So you're going to have to do it consistently a little bit, and you're going to begin to feel the effects. But you guys everyone has a lot of decompressing they need to do, because humanity has made sure that they're influencing you all the time, no matter what. When you go grocery shopping or you bring up products into your house, you're still being programmed by them now. They've infiltrated your home, right? The marketing, the advertising on the packaging. Oh my God, the reminder that you need to get more of that, or that you don't have enough of something, or that somebody has a better one than you. That's all programming. It's all brainwashing. When you're out in nature, you're brainwash free. So one of the reasons I do this broadcast is, my goal essentially is to liberate the minds of those that I work with, so that you guys realize your freedom. Because in society, you are not free right now. You're all prisoners and slaves to what is being influenced and programmed in order to get money out of you. And yeah, I charge for my services too. I have to just survive, or I couldn't even do this. I have to pay for my animals somehow. We all have to work. But it's very, very important that you guys take charge of your mind, and getting out in nature is a way you can do that. Suzanne says, I once read that birds always sing a new song every day. So every day is a new day. Yes. Now, they have a lot of the same calls. Every bird is different, Suzanne. But every day is a new day for animals, for non-human animals, and for nature. Because there is no such thing as time. It's only we humans that live according to this, our calendars, right? It's only humans that like to measure everything. We have clocks, we have calendars. The animals and the plants go by their internal, innate, natural clocks and calendars, the way you would if you weren't going by our man-made ones, right? So if you guys have watched 50 First Dates, which is one of my favorite movies, what I love about that movie is that, we look at, she had this injury and she can't remember things. It's a problem. She had an issue. She was handicapped. But the truth is you can see how joyful her character is. And you can see how her character lives in contrast with everyone that's living according to time. And if you each woke up as though yesterday didn't exist, and you were able to be more present in the moment, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, your life would be a lot more joyful, a lot lighter, a lot less pressure. There wouldn't be all the stress and anxiety that you have. I'm like peeking under the rainbow here. Let's see. Natalie, hello. Welcome from Canada. Let's see. Suzanne says, living in the countryside has taught me a lot about animals. When the farm animals and cattle, when they lie down in the fields, that means The rain is coming so animals can sense things we can't. Oh, you're outside at home, Natalie. Awesome. Yes. So, I don't know about the rain thing. I've seen them lay down when it's not going to rain, but that's very cool. And it rains a lot in Scotland, so I wouldn't be surprised, Margot, or Suzanne, sorry. I lived in Scotland, so I understand that. Non-human animals have as many forms of intelligence as humans do. And they don't have all the ones that we have, and we don't have all of the ones that they have. Okay? There are some forms of intelligence, many of them, that we share with non-human animals that they are much better at. Okay? So for example, they don't have our prefrontal cortex, so they cannot do mathematics or engineer and build the types of things that we can. They don't have some of them do. Most of them don't have our opposable thumb, which allows us to do a lot of things other animals cannot. But there's other animals that can climb better than us, right? They do not have our vocal cords, so they don't have our voice box or our palate. So they cannot speak like we do. But they all speak. They all have a language. It just isn't ours, so we don't think they have one. Non-human animals can see colors that we can't see. They can feel and see frequencies we can't see. Their senses are stronger than ours. They can smell things we can't smell. They can hear things we can't hear. A bald eagle can read a newspaper from 3 miles away. A bald eagle can read a newspaper from 3 miles away. Okay. So when we are condescending and putting animals down and believing that they are less than us, they are anything but. And it doesn't just have to do with their intelligence and their abilities either. Okay. We, I believe, are very blessed, and we have really misinterpreted what the Bible says about the fact that we don't have free reign. We're not supposed to be just using up the earth. The earth is not here for us to just use up. The earth is here for us to be stewards of and guardians of. We're the ones with a prefrontal cortex. We're the one that can do the mathematical calculations. We're the ones that can write our language out and create complex music and writings, right? So this written language, this ability to communicate and build the way that we do, to do calculations, gives us a lot of the same advantages that parents have with their children. And parents are meant to be guardians, right? So we're meant to be guardians of the earth, not takers of the earth. And so since non-human animals and trees and plants can communicate with us a lot better than we can, we are the ones that, we're always like the senders of our communication. We're always sending out. We're telling them what to do. We're bossing animals around, but we don't receive their communications. They understand us and communicate and receive our communications much better than we do theirs. Okay. And if it seems like they don't, it's with good reason. If you get a rescue animal and they're still terrified and you're like, well, why don't they understand what I'm saying? Well, because if their only experience has been being abused by humans, would you? If you were abused by humans and then you were caught by humans and the human said, don't worry, I just want to help you, would you as another human believe them? I wouldn't. I wouldn't trust that. Why should they trust you? Even if they know you're saying, it's okay, we're going to help you. Why should they believe you? Okay, they're a lot more like us than we think without the ego. Suzanne says, how amazing that bald eagles can do that. I know, isn't that amazing? But guys, there's so many things about non-human animals that, are important. And, like I have a science background. I'm a science person. And science and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. So I love using the animal facts that I have alongside my animal communication and my intuitive abilities because they're so amazing. I mean, you've got a dog, if you're underwater, a dog can smell over 200 times better than we can under the water. Can you imagine that? I mean, I don't even remember smelling anything in the water. Hi, Paul Freed. Welcome. Yes, you did. You found me. So just keep in mind, guys, that, our world, we as humans, where do we get our information from? We get our information from other humans. And unless you get out in nature for yourself and or you develop a bond and a relationship with non-human animals or trees or other plants or rocks or the water or the wind on your own, how are you going to know? Because you were raised in that concrete jungle. Even if you live out in the country, you were raised in a framework of society where we are essentially saying humans are the best, humans are the most important, humans are the only things that matter, and we can do whatever we want and use nature however we want. And the truth is that's not true. Okay? So it's very important. And when you guys, if you have a plant even, or if you're on here, you probably have animals, but if you have animals or whatever, and you work on practicing communicating with them, which is going to be an aspect of my Awakening Your Intuition program, which is going to be released in the fall. I'm creating a digital program with a once-a-week mastermind for people that want to have a metaphysical sampler and learn how to develop their intuition and confidence in their intuition and interpret their dreams and read cards and communicate with animals. Anyway, I'm going to have a group discovery call for that next week. So I'll be posting that if you're interested. But it's going to be a 3-month program. And in that, we are going to work on animal communication. And if you all have, even plants at home, like I said, if you're on here, you probably have pets, animals. But if you want to learn and practice, just practice with the plant. They all communicate differently. You might get images, you might get feelings. A lot of it is how you communicate best, right? What your strongest clairs are. And you can do what I do and you can communicate in all forms, but you can also, develop the other forms. I know I see the rainbow. I've been calling it the rainbow. Margot, it's been coming and going. But it's very important. And you can practice with anything. You can practice just, everything is energy. All energy is sentient. And so you can just practice with your own, your own plants, your own animals. The first thought that comes to you is, after that first thought is when your ego starts kicking in. That's when your mind starts thinking and questioning what you're doing. But, like each of my horses, for example, communicate so differently. I mean, one is just mostly images and feeling, and it takes her a long while to share things with you. I mean, I've had her, gosh, how long have I had her now? I'd say almost 8 years, 7 years. And, she's very private. She's very private. She communicates with feelings and images. She's very gentle. Often when I communicate with horses, there's a delay in what I want to know. I have one that's my little cattle herding pony. He's not really a pony, but he's small but feisty. He's very practical. He's exceedingly practical when he communicates. He is very matter of fact. There's no fluff in what he says. He communicates in sentences with me. And, it's very bottom line, very matter of fact. He's very stoic. So often I'll ask him about something and he won't answer me right away. So, they all have these personalities just like we do. But we humans, if just like with people, if you prejudge anyone or anything, you cut yourself off from seeing who they are. You completely cut yourself off from it, right? So just as Dr. Wayne Dyer said, when you look, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Well, it's the same way when you're communicating with people or plants or non-human animals. Okay. Let's see. Suzanne says, yesterday I was feeding the birds and a neighbor's cat was sitting behind my gate hiding, but the birds were making such a noise to let the other birds know that a predator was near. It's amazing how the birds communicate, but they don't fly too far away from me when I go to put out the seeds in the feeding containers. Yes, yes. Well, and they can, as long as they're not being sneaked up on by somebody, if they see that predator, right, they know they can fly away. So they'll stay in whatever they feel is a safe distance, right? And the more you guys see those things, the more you become observant of it, right? Just like if you never had a dog before, the more you're around dogs, the more you start to learn what things mean. If the more you're around children, right? Maybe you didn't observe a lot of things about children until you had kids or until you were teaching or until you did a summer camp. And then once you start being around children, then you're like, oh, when they do this, they need that. When they do this, they're trying to tell us that. Okay. So I think all of that is really exciting. Let's see here. I was thinking of my 3 cats up in heaven. Mrs. Twister. I love that. She was Black Cat. And Mr. Blackie, Black, and Mr. Tabby Brown, and White. Miss them every day. Ah, yes. And the wonderful part about this, Paul, is, I can feel that soft energy around you. So they're always present with you, and they can always hear what you have to say and how much you love them. The cool thing that reminds me, Paul, about our animals that have crossed over is that they don't always have to be right. Like, they are always with us. They've never actually gone anywhere, right? We're just in a different dimension. So they can be, boom, right here with you at any time. But the other cool thing about that is that they can also be wherever they are and know what you're doing, right? So like, right now I see your kitties in heaven, all together, and they're like rolling around and playing with like flowers and things in soft grass in beautiful beams of sunlight. They're laying and rolling around and they're playing with, all sorts of fun things in the grass. Now, the cool thing about that is they also know we're talking about them right now. Okay, so they can be doing what they're doing in heaven and know and feel what you're doing because there is no space and time. So they can be conscious and aware of all of that that's going on. Okay. So I love that you can feel them. I can feel them too. And it's cool because each set of souls has different feelings. So like for me, when I feel them for you, it's just a soft, warm, fuzzy feeling. Bye, Paul. Thanks for joining us. And you guys can do that too. You can do that with your animals and your non-human animals, all the time. You'll notice if you want to practice on plants, if you want to practice communicating with animals and you want to practice on plants, you can do it. You'll also get a feeling from them. Okay. Oh, sorry. I saw you wrote bye, Paul. So, but you guys can get that with plants as well. One of my best friends growing up was the huge maple tree in our front yard. Whenever I was crying or upset or confused, my go-to was always to go out into nature. And, especially before I really started journaling, I would go sit on the front porch and I would talk to this tree. And the tree always, they're the best listeners. And you guys would say, well, of course they are. No, they really are. They're the best listeners. They give unconditional love. they resonate at a frequency and with your nervous system that slows things down so that you can calm your nervous system down and you can feel healing and comfort. Okay. And so this tree, I would always feel better. And the tree would always bring my wisdom and awareness to the surface. So I always went back in the house a better person, more aware, more conscious, having learned from whatever it is I was upset about, um, feeling love, like I just felt loved and and really giving wisdom. And so, this tree really kept my awareness as a young child aware that nature speaks. It may not be speaking the language you speak with the human voice box that you're accustomed to or the writing that you're accustomed to, but nature speaks and it's every bit as relevant, as powerful, as as loud, um, and as significant as our speaking. And don't forget, guys, more than 90% of your human communication and interaction is actually nonverbal. So we humans we rely too much on words. Okay. Yes, Suzanne, I know you miss your fur babies too. So when you guys are journaling or you're taking a walk, I oftentimes use walks to speak to my loved ones on the other side as well, to radiate from my heart out that love. And they always feel it. Okay. So please know that they always feel it and know that if they have crossed over, they're better off than we are. Not really. We're all fine, but they're not experiencing the same challenges and turbulence and circumstances and that we put ourselves through. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you lost Blackie and Tabby. Both had cancer a year apart. Yeah, that's really tough. I actually, I believe that my landlady. Well, I know that she was. I asked her not to, but she was using weed killer in my yard. When I was living with, I had 4 or 5 dogs at one time and 5 cats. And one of the cats and all of the dogs, we spent most of our time out in the yard. And I asked her to please not, use that. But I know that there were a few times that she had sprayed it. And she would always say to me, don't worry, once it dries, because it's, like Roundup says on the container, once it dries, it's fine. Keep children and pets off until it dries. Well, that's the biggest bunch of BS I've ever heard. Was it going to be any different when it dries? No, it's still very deadly. And I've known plenty of people and animals that have gotten, either different forms of cancer, paw cancer, foot cancer, from being out in the grass. And the biggest animal lovers I know, some of them refuse to stop using Roundup, which again is we are brainwashed that our yards have to be this perfect green. They don't. Why would you want to put anything on your lawn that's going to kill the insects that are keeping this planet alive so you can live and breathe? Why would you want to kill and put anything on there that insects are going to eat and rabbits and squirrels and things like that, that then birds of prey are going to eat and then other animals are going to eat? I mean, I found dead rabbits near where people were using Roundup. The birds of prey die because of the poisons that they're eating, the animals that have eaten or been around these poisons. Why would you want to do that? I'll get to your comments in just a minute, Suzanne. People aren't aware of this, and there are so many things on the market. And guys, I'm not even a conspiracy theorist. I mean, this is just all you got to do is look around and talk to people, and you can see this. This is blatant information for anyone to have access to. But when there's more money being put into promoting and selling items, products such as Roundup, than there is to go into environmental work and healthy things and preserving and saving nature and wildlife, then guess who's going to win? Whoever has the most money. So the amount of propaganda that has gone into Roundup, and it's just from so many different ways. I mean, there's lawn companies, they promote it. Then people want other people to think well of them, so they're self-conscious about their yards. So there's a stigma and a status about your yard. You don't want to be embarrassed if your yard doesn't look as good as somebody else's. And green lawns were actually a status quo thing that came over from Europe, from the UK. The wealthy had cut lawns that were perfect greens with gardens, and they had the money to pay people to maintain it. And the poor people did not. And so this became a status thing. So now over here in the United States, especially, this is a status thing. And we don't think of it that way anymore. It's, hundreds of years have gone by, but that's what it is. So, we have to be very careful because like the cat foods and the dog foods that you guys feed your pet, the horse grain that I feed my horses, almost all of it has rat poison. If you're eating rice, it almost all has rat poison, even if it says organic, because, it's some of the same stuff that has Roundup in it. So you guys just, we need to be conscientious, and we need to remember that we are brainwashed to normalize and accept things that we just take for granted. We don't ever even question, because everybody does it. It's a normal thing, right? And in all of this, there is zero respect for nature. Our decisions are purely made off of what we want, who's going to make money, how we want things to look. And maybe you guys on here aren't this way, but for the most part, most people are raised to not give a shit about nature or animals. And honestly, most of them don't even care about other people. So, not to be negative, but this is a reality we need to keep in mind if we're too trusting, if we're empathetic, if we're not checking our thoughts to see what are we really believing. Okay. Paul says, wow. Suzanne says, so listening to the sound of the trees blowing in the wind is so relaxing. I get this. It makes so much sense. Good. I'm so glad you get that. Yeah. So that's actually healing. That's a form of meditation. This is the type of thing the Native Americans knew. Now, a lot of them don't know this today. A lot of them don't, abide by this today because they've been forced into a different culture. So they pass down their stories and things, but most of them don't get to live this way. But when we're living close to nature, our nervous systems are calmer. We don't have the anxiety. We don't have the disease that we have. We don't need anti-anxiety meds. We don't have depression. Our bodies and minds are meant to mourn naturally, but in a society where we are in front of the screen instead of out in nature, what you guys probably don't understand is that your brainwave frequency is altered. So your brain and body chemistry is different. So you have a lot of the wrong hormones that cause stress and anxiety. You are addicted to the dopamine fix of social media. So when you don't get that fix, you feel depressed. You feel anxious. You can't sleep. Okay. So these are all things to keep in mind that nature is a solution for. Let's see here. Wow, Paul, you did have them long, 16 and 10. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, so if you guys, if you don't live in a place where you're near nature or the outdoors, or you don't, you're not in a place where you can get out in nature a lot, you guys can make these adjustments easily. I have clients who need to take a train to go to a park, or who have a small little enclosed garden in their backyard and they will go there, or they will go hiking, or maybe they wait and once a weekend they go spend their Saturday or their Sunday out in nature, or they go stay at a friend's farm, something where they integrate that time. Now, it's not the same if it's a way of life and you don't do it all the time, but it definitely makes a big difference. Okay. And what you guys will find is that your spirit animals, your spirit guides, things like that, you love the park once a day. Yes. I always say that with my border collies. But just that once a day at the park makes the biggest difference. And, we are a reflection of whatever environment we're in. And if you guys alter your habits just a little bit and you go and you find you sit and you listen to the breeze, yes, it's speaking to you, right? And we live in a world where we grew up to, make fun of that. And that was intentionally programmed. You teach, children will grow up with whatever they learned as kids. So if your kids are taught you better not be a tree hugger because you're going to be made fun of for being a tree hugger, they're not going to want to be a tree hugger, right? There's pressure there. There's social pressure. And what does that say? Well, nature's not important. Why would you hug? What's wrong with hugging a tree? I'll admit it right now. I've always been a tree hugger. I would tell the kids at school, well, yeah, they tease me. I go, yeah, absolutely, I am. You're darn right. I'd rather hug that tree than hug you. Right? Because there's an implication there and there's peer pressure there. But if you guys ever sit down and you lean your back against a tree, it's amazing. Just dump all your troubles there. Give all your troubles to that tree. Sit there and cry or write or whatever. Make sure your spine is aligned up with that tree. And there's so much healing that goes on there. It's really, really amazing. Suzanne says, so sorry for your loss, your fur babies, Paul. I understand. And for your sadness. Yes. 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 And we've all lost animals. Right? It's very difficult. You did not school what you like, school what you did. Yeah. Well, because there's a lot of good things and important things in school. But then there's a lot of, if you're an empathic person and you're not fitting in with the norm, if you're not a Disney kid and you don't go watch the same cartoons every day and you want to spend time out in nature, a lot of the mainstream schools are not a good fit, right? It'll make you feel like there's something wrong with you, even when there isn't. And you guys, all of you that have lost animals. Oh, that's what I was trying to share with you, Paul. When I was talking about the Roundup, I got sidetracked with the Roundup. But what I was trying to tell you was that because of the Roundup my landlady was using on my lawn, I lived in that house for 7.5 years, and I lost, all four of, well, maybe possibly five. All four, possibly five dogs that lived in that house with me. They all died of cancer. And they all died within 5 years of one another. And I lost three years in a row. Boom, boom, boom. So it was not only devastating because you lose one and then you're not over the other one, even for someone like me who knows they're right there and can connect with them. But it was also infuriating because I knew what had happened and the similarities of what they had and how they got it. The fact that someone using something on my lawn had caused that, right? Yeah, and it is sad, Suzanne. It's sad for us. So, I do understand. And, I remember saying there was a guy I worked for a while. There was a psychic medium that I was actually working for here in Cincinnati. And I was really surprised by him because I remember I was working for him for a short while. And I remember he would kind of mock me. I was really mourning this one dog that I had just lost while I was working with him. And he would say things like, well, I don't know if she can even do a job today. You need to snap out of it and get over the dog, Larkin, because there's work to be done. Well, I was doing my work. But I was absolutely heartbroken. And the thing that's important to remember, though, is that the animals are not heartbroken. Once they're and you guys will be this way when you cross over too. Once they are back on the other side, and that's a beautiful thing too about nature and non-human animals. We have this egoic identity of ourselves. The non-human animals don't have that. So they are here, and then they leave their body and they're there. They're like, oh wow, I feel so much better. I feel great. Yippee! And they run and jump around, and they're back in their truest form, in their energy body again, and they can do all the fun, amazing things they wanted to. So you say they go to a better place than here on earth. Yeah. Well, and we can look at it that way, but I don't even look at it that way. I mean, yes, we can say yes, they go to a better place, and that is true, I guess. But I think it's also important to remember that animal and human souls are waiting in line to be in this world. This world is a frequency that allows you to accomplish so much soul-wise, not just for the earth or the planet, but for the whole dimension and for the universe. It has a significant role depending on its evolution. Okay. And then it's there are souls waiting in line to be here so they can learn what they need to at the vibrational frequency that this world has to offer. So yes, it is a better place in that we don't have the struggling and the suffering and the limitations, and we're back to our eternal selves. But this is such a blessing for us and non-human animals to be here. It is such a complete blessing to have this opportunity, and they choose to come to you. The animals choose the people that they come to. And once they're back on the other side, although we struggle and suffer because we miss them so much, because they're outside of time and space, they're back to their full, the best version of themselves. They're free. They have the broader perspective of everything that we don't have. They are love. They are fulfilled. They are abundant. They are joyful. They are healthy. They are happy. And they don't even miss us because they know we're here doing what we're meant to do. And that in no time at all, literally, we will be back with them. So it's really quite wonderful. So yes, it's comforting to think, yes, they're in a better place now. Okay. Let's see. Yes, because we want them to be here with us. Exactly. It's exactly what it is. Very hard for us. All right, my friends. Well, I'm going to tell you, here's my rundown. On Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to be back on Veronica Jenkins' page at 4 p.m. EST, which is 9 p.m. BST, for live free readings. If I have time tomorrow, I'm going to get on and do some reverse readings. The next Meet Your Spirit Guides event is August 3rd. If you guys want to meet your spirit guides, next Friday, we'll be back on here with Furball Friday. I do have the free group discovery call on Zoom that will be where I'm going to share about the Awakening Your Intuition program that will be released in September. Don't forget, guys, I have special reading offers going on right now if you guys want to schedule a reading. I also have group online readings people can do for a less semi-private reading. And if you want and need some mindset coaching, you can always private message me for a discovery call about that. Natalie is one of my mindset coaching clients. Anyway, you're welcome, Suzanne. Oh, you're having rain right now, Paul? Well, we could use some of that. It's pretty humid here. You too. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you either tomorrow or hopefully on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everyone. You're welcome, Suzanne.